let's talk about families from all around the world. That's like our Combi family. Look at these families from around the world. You know, around the world, children grow up in many different types of families and many different countries and many traditions and different ideas. Okay, so we're going to learn about families. Okay, so what is a family? Family are the people who live with you or are related to you, who are special for you. Okay? So everybody's family is a little bit different. Sometimes you live with just your mummy and daddy. Sometimes you live with your auntie, uncle, many family members. Sometimes you live only with mummy or only with daddy or only with grandma or only with grandpa. Okay? Families are all different. And do you think that families are important? Do you think your family is very important to you? I do also. Okay, so let's look at some homes from around the world. What can you see? So some homes are beautiful in the mountains, in the countryside. Some are cities with many buildings together. This one is a very modern looking city, and this one is very simple. You see, there's just little huts and lots of dirt there. Okay. How about food from around the world? So do you remember when we did our continents theme and we looked at some of the food from your countries or that your mummy knows to cook at home? We are very lucky when we live in Cambodia and we have many different types of food to try. Let's have a look at some of these foods. I wonder if you've tasted them before. This one looks like Middle Eastern food. It could be Greek or Lebanese. This one's called hummus and falafel. This is one of my favorite types of food. What do we have here? Ooh. This looks like some crab. What's this one? Fish and chips. This is like from England or Australia. Beer battered fish and chips. And what's this one? Must be Asian or Indian food. We have rice and maybe like a curry here. Do you like to eat different types of food? What is your favorite type of food? Do you have a favorite, or do you like many types of food? How about people from around the world? We just talked about it. Do all people look the same? There are many different people from around the world. Some have dark skin, some have white skin, brown skin, yellow skin, brown hair, black hair, pink hair, purple hair. Everybody around the world is different. That is what makes life very amazing and interesting. But let's look at some of the countries, and you might remember some of this from our continents theme. Let's start with the UK. That's where my mummy comes from. This is the flag for the United Kingdom. And we can also call that one England. So it says the children normally live with their parents. Okay, so sometimes one parent, sometimes mummy and daddy, and normally their brother and sister stay together. Sometimes there's no brother or sister. Normally with the family in the UK, the grandparents live in a different place. Okay, so maybe in your country, your grandparents all live together with their family. But normally in the UK, grandma and grandpa have their own house, or sometimes they live in a special home for when they're old, and their grandchildren and their children will go and visit them. What about dinner? What's a common thing to eat for dinner in England? Okay, so dinner time, normally everybody sits down together and enjoys the meal together. Normally we buy it from the supermarket and then we cook it at home. But sometimes we get takeaway or delivery that comes to our house. But normally we all sit together and eat together. And did you know in the United Kingdom, the same like Australia, many times the children do some jobs around the house, like they sweep the floor or maybe set the table for dinner, and they get pocket money. Mummy or daddy will give them some small money and then they can save it up. We call that pocket money. How about friends? Let's do China. Okay, so we've seen a lot of these from your own homes, but let's hear a little bit more about it. So this is China. And Riri and Jado, you can tell me if this is true. In China, normally the children live with their parents and sometimes their grandparents or their great-grandparents. Before, families were only allowed to have one baby. But now sometimes you can have more. But normally many Chinese, just one child. And in China, the children are always taught to respect somebody older than them and especially respect their parents. And what's a home like in China? So families normally live in the city, in a flat, in tall houses. Sometimes in the countryside, they live together in one big house. And how about food in China? So I think normally the mummy cooks the food, but maybe some of your families, your daddy helps cook too. And often you eat with chopsticks. Is that right? Chopsticks. Okay, how about Japan? Okay, we know a lot about Japan because Kombi is Japanese. Children normally live with their parents, and normally their grandparents live close to them. Families like to meet together to eat together or for something special, like Boys' Day or Children's Day. People in Japan work a lot. So normally daddy is working a long time. If your mummy is not working, she'll stay home with the children and take care of you while daddy's working. Okay? Your family normally stays in an apartment or a house, and many times the children sleep in the same room as their mummy and daddy. And how about your food in Japan? I think you also use chopsticks and spoons, and sometimes you sit on the floor on a cushion to eat. And rice and miso are very popular foods for you to eat. Sometimes 3 meals a day you'll have soup and rice. Okay, let's choose one more. I have Australia, but I think you already know about Australia. Let's do Kenya. Kenya is in Africa. Actually, Kenya is the place in Africa where a lot of the big animals come from, like the lions and tigers and elephants and hippo and giraffe. Okay? But it doesn't mean everyone in Kenya lives in the jungle. They have cities there also. So in Kenya, in fact, in most places in Africa, families are very important and they help each other. Okay? So children, their mummy and daddy don't just take care of them. Aunties and uncles and grandparents and friends and neighbors all help care for each other's children. So the people who live in the city, they have an apartment. But sometimes if they live very far out in the countryside or like in the jungle, they have we call a small house called a hut, and it can be made from dried mud or stones and grass roof. Okay? How about how they eat? So in Kenya, normally it's the mummy who does the cooking and takes care of the children. For breakfast, they like to eat chai, tea and bread. Did you ever try chai tea? It's very yummy. and bread. But lunch and dinner, they like stew. Do you know what stew is? It's like a very thick soup with lots of meat and vegetables in it. And sometimes they will eat it with rice, or they'll eat it with something special. It's a little bit like Play-Doh, but it's made from rice flour or wheat flour, and you take it and you put it in the stew and eat it. Very yummy, a little bit spicy. And how about dessert? You know dessert, something sweet? They really like to eat fruit for dessert, especially something like mango. So that's just 3 countries in the world. We've already done a lot about the different continents and countries, but that's just an example to show you that in only 3 countries, look how different everybody is. Okay? So it's really great that we go to a school like Kombi that has many children from many different countries, because we can learn so much about each other. I really hope to see you all back at Kombi soon, and we can talk more about our break from study, and we can talk about what you did when you went back to your country, and you can tell me more about your families and your culture, okay? I'm really excited about that.
Seeing eyes of mine, what do you feel beside? I don't know where we're gonna fly like you did sometimes. Seeing eyes of mine, love, 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 I wanna be strong, strong. We're doing wrong, 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 but I'll try to fix it. Love, 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 I wanna be strong, strong. We're doing wrong, 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 but I'll change it, change it. Seeing eyes of mine, you see, there are no trees inside of me. In this desert, I can look at you with love. Seeing all that I can learn. Can you stay and I will grow?